Hello, everybody. You are back with Tom Collahue today with a bit of a different spoiler warning. Usually, we go live with spoiler warning at 10 p.m. UK time, that is 5 p.m. EST. And I've got quite a few little subjects to cover, to be honest. I was going to talk about Karrion Kross. I was going to talk about Kenice Mobley, who I'm still going to talk about. I was going to talk about WWE back in the UK. I was going to make some draft predictions. It was probably going to be a positive and a bit of a let's calm down sort of thing. But that seems like it might be changing now, unfortunately. Good evening, Jonesy. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for helping me as you have today so far, for keeping me up to date. I always appreciate you jumping in. Eleanor also here saying hi, Tom. Welcome. And Sean Garner on the YouTube side saying, who would be released? I cannot sit here and name people. I'm going in sort of ahead of the curve. There's only one release that we are aware of so far, and that is the aforementioned Kenice Mobley. Now, the reason for this release, essentially, is that people are really annoyed that a WWE writer doesn't know about the WWE. Couldn't name Bobby Lashley, apart from the fact that on second try, she did name Bobby Lashley. So let's talk a little bit about that before we even get started. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I had a whole thing to talk about this particular writer, a whole section that I was going to jump into, that I was going to go into in great detail ready, and now we hear that she has been released. So WWE did hire a writer with no wrestling knowledge ahead of time. I can tell you exactly why she is not with the company anymore. Yes, it was an intentional choice to hire this writer. Raw is lacking diversity in writing experience. They're also lacking diversity. That is simply a situation that they've been trying to fix with certain hires. The WWE creative team, most of whom are wrestling fans, are constantly under attack for not being good enough. The Raw team, of which Kenice Mobley was a part, in particular, is constantly under fire and under attack for not being good enough because, to put it simply, they've not been good enough. This is not just from fans. WWE management are taking their frustrations out on the Raw creative team a lot recently. You look at the news of Vince McMahon ripping up more scripts over on the Raw side. A conscious choice was made to bring people in from outside of the usual fields. People who don't necessarily go into wrestling with all that much focus. Thank you very much for the follow, Mr. NXT, and thank you very much for the follow, Cheerifia. Thank you very much. Yes, J-Dub, the writer who was on the podcast, Kenice Mobley, has been released, according to Sean Rossap of Fightful. I'm waiting for more confirmation and news as it goes. But ultimately, at this point, because I'm live, I'm hoping you guys will be able to bring news in. People are unhappy with the fact that the WWE has hired a writer without too much wrestling experience. But as I say, this was intentional. The writer in question would have had a very, very awkward Monday, as at the moment she is extremely unpopular with WWE management. She's not going to have that problem anymore because she has been released. The WWE over the last few months has experimented with a lot of different writers coming from a variety of backgrounds. They've worked with reality TV writers. Some of those have come in from the reality TV side. Thank you very much, J-Dub, for lengthening your subscription. Very much appreciate it. 4 months is a very long time, and I thank you very much for that. I will be catching up with the chat in just a moment. They've looked at reality TV writers. They brought people in now that Total Divas and Total Bellas isn't focusing too much on it. Eva Marie's being scripted by reality TV writers. They've also been looking to bring in more comedy writers to try and make a 3-hour Raw less of a slog by at least making it a little bit more funny. Their overall success level with writers seems to be getting worse and worse. There is also one major problem, and I believe this is why Kenice Mobley has been released. This is why I believe Kenice Mobley has been released, because one of the main problems that the WWE had with her is that she didn't clear the podcast interview in question before going on to it. She did not clear her podcast appearance. WWE talent, and this includes the creative team, are expected to clear any appearances before attending them. This is why a lot of wrestling journalists who reach a certain level and release a certain amount of news do not get wrestling interviews. This is one of the reasons over the years I have not had wrestling interviews. Because, to put it simply, companies like the WWE, like AEW, they want to have PR present to make sure the message that comes out is one that they are happy with releasing. This is so that the WWE PR team can control the overall message coming out of the company. WWE PR are usually in attendance in some way during interviews to monitor proceedings. If you are watching an online interview conducted over Zoom, you're seeing two people. What you're not seeing is the third person who is definitely there. Apparently, this interview was not cleared. This is common in pretty much all big business, but it's still not necessarily an overall positive. So I thought I'd share that as the reasoning there. I'm going to catch up with the chat now because obviously quite a bit has come in through YouTube as well. I don't know if I caught up there. Eleanor said, hi, Tom. Oliver said, hello, Tom. JW has already said, hey, thank you very much for sharing the announcement of me going live. What I will say quickly to everyone, if you share the announcement of this going live on Twitter, I will retweet it. I will retweet it. So if you, for example, quote tweet saying that I am live, or you tweet something out with the link to this Twitch show or this YouTube show, I will retweet it. So please, if you can, do so. Someone 7 also here saying, hey, hey Tom, welcome everybody. Austin Palmeter on YouTube says, I hope not Shayna. We are waiting to hear names. I cannot speculate on individuals. Even if I did know the names, I'd want to be very careful at this point in time before actually mentioning individuals, because this is a very dangerous time to do so. Shooting the Sport-ish says, hi Tom, welcome Shooting the Sport-ish. I hope there is no football on today. I don't believe there is, so that you guys can track this one, because this may be a long-termer. Oliver Gomez asking, love what I can see of your t-shirt, Tom. What is it? This is a Bray Wyatt t-shirt, which someone has definitely picked out. So I'll stand up and show it off. The Eater of Worlds, and I don't know how good I can turn here. The Era of Wyatt. This is from Bray Wyatt's first WWE Championship run. Jade was asking, to be clear, the writer has been released. Yes, the writer has been released. We are waiting to see if we hear any more, but all the usual suspects are saying there will be more releases, so we have to be aware of that. Unpopular Reviewer here too. Welcome, Unpopular Review. Sean Garner says, will there be any SmackDown women in the Money in the Bank match? Yes, there will be 4. There will be 4 SmackDown women in the Money in the Bank match. GMC Cubbin is saying, is your shirt a hint at a possible cut name? There are no hints whatsoever on this stream. I will not report hints. I will only report what we know for certain. For certain. So anything that comes in, I will wait for 2 sources before I report anything. And I will wait for 2 sources before I report from anyone else. Sorry guys, I'm just going to get myself a can of Coke. Apologize for all the noise. Try and keep myself refreshed. Trying to keep myself refreshed. So yeah, I will just report facts as best I can. Nubis here saying good afternoon, time for the emergency spoiler warning. The emergency spoiler warning is here. For anyone who doesn't know, I do regular spoiler warning shows. They're usually at 10 p.m. 10 p.m. on Mondays and Fridays UK time. That is 5 p.m. EST in America. I had a lot of news to share today. In my document that I've got here, we're going to talk Karrion Kross. We're going to talk about this writer, Kenice Mobley, who's now being released. We were going to talk about WWE being back in the UK. I haven't even finished writing that one up. And then I was going to talk draft predictions. Again, haven't finished writing those up. But we're doing our best here. We're doing our best. Austin Palmeter says, us fans have better ideas than these writers. You say that, but the opportunity to jump in was available to all of us. Honestly, the next time an opportunity like this comes up, I'm posting it in my Discord. I am posting it in my Discord. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm going to get the link for you now. To share the Discord. The Discord for me is something of a staging area. For anyone who doesn't know, we will prepare things in there. Also, to be fair, how these streams generally work is that individuals will bring in news, because I can't always be breaking news here. I'll share what I hear and what I know and what I'm told, but I can't always be keeping track of everything is the issue, which is why we have a great community here who will share. Oliver Gom says, working for WWE seems less like a job and more like joining a cult. To be fair, if not for fans grabbing hold of this, she would still have a job. I can say that 100% certainty. Fans made this happen. Toxic Predator is also here saying, hi Tom, welcome Toxic Predator, glad to see you. Unpopular Review shares their opinion. I think it's unfortunate WWE let her go. She was hired for her comedic and writing skills. There's plenty of people with wrestling experience in WWE. The fan base was out of line getting so worked up. I agree. I completely agree. Pardon me. If I got a job writing wrestling for the WWE, me personally, if I got that job, I don't have any experience writing for wrestling. I don't. All the experience I have is essentially fantasy booking here and talking to wrestling fans. That doesn't necessarily mean that I shouldn't be involved, though. And that's true of anyone else. We should all have an opportunity, at least, to share our experience, to share what we can learn and how we can develop things. We should all have an opportunity, but that just sort of doesn't happen. For anyone currently watching on YouTube, I'd appreciate if you can click like on the video. For one thing, I've just gone onto it, and the only thing I have is one dislike. So someone has just gone straight into this video and clicked dislike on YouTube. Dislikes make me harder to find. Likes make me easier to find. So if you can, please do so. Thank you very much for following Jared22. Much appreciated and much obliged. Michael says, hi, Tom. My least favorite streams, the talk of releases. I agree. It absolutely sucks that this happens. We get a lot of people in when this happens because we all just want to share in the horror that is these WWE releases. We are waiting for formal confirmation of releases at this point. The only one we know about is the writer Kenice Mobley. We have just shared why that happened, but I will reiterate that once I've caught up on the chat. Ed says, welcome everyone. Ed is our mod. If there are any links or anything you'd like to share to news or anything, please direct them to Ed, who will filter them through. The Nightbot is sort of iffy on preventing that from happening. Austin says, do you think Shayna would be released? I wouldn't think so because she's in a storyline right now. I don't believe so, but I cannot say for certain whether that will or will not happen. I don't believe so. Also wouldn't have said that about Braun Strowman or Aleister Black. Or Samoa Joe, who is now back. And given that he was released for budget cuts and is still not cleared to wrestle, yes, he's come back for less money, but I don't think Nick Khan will be particularly happy with the fact that they just added more to the budget. Ellen line with a bit of positivity. Thank you very much, Eleanor. Saying, I'm so happy WWE are doing a UK tour. I can't wait to go. We did talk about this a couple of weeks ago. I was writing something up. I believe it was in response to your question, Eleanor, that we talked about this. I was writing something up for spoiler warning. The only thing I've got so far is a couple of weeks ago, we spoke about future plans for WWE touring when we gave an update as to the expected date of the WWE's return to Saudi Arabia. I expected the WWE to travel to the UK first out of all the countries on their list. This has been shown with a move to the UK for, I believe, 4 dates in September. That's all I had so far. Jay Quick says, I shared out the stream. Thank you, Jay Quick. Once I've caught up on the chat, I will do some retweeting. Sean Garner says, which 4 women do you think will be in Money in the Bank? Well, if we eliminate Bianca Belair and Bayley, who will continue to wrestle, if we eliminate Sasha Banks, who will only be returning the go-home show before Money in the Bank. By the way, if you have been checking out my YouTube and if you've subscribed there, I do have a video today about Sasha Banks, where she's been, when she's returning, what she will be doing. Pardon me, kind of coke, bad call. Then you only have Natalya, Tamina, Carmella, and Liv Morgan. That's literally all that they have, so it must be them. Unpopular Review says she was a woman of color and most likely needed on that writing group to offer a diverse perspective for the diverse talent in the locker room. I agree with that, and I think it's very telling that the name that she was asked about was Bobby Lashley. I think that's very telling, because I think when you bring in a diverse range of people, you want to be able to rightly represent a diverse range of wrestlers. You want to be able to write things for them that are actually fitting for them as individuals, that actually respect who they are. So that you don't have, for example, Kofi Kingston, oh, let's just make him Jamaican. God damn it. Although Gom says you have nice graphics for these shows, I hear. I do. And in fact, this is a great time to show them off. Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. That's our graphic for this one, which I'll be showing off a lot more in the near future. Thank you very much, Oliver, for designing those for me. Checkwick says, we are Tom's Dave Meltzer. You're on my research team. Very grateful for it. Oliver says, I do think it's a bit dopey to go on a podcast about your new job, about researching the show you're writing for. Not saying she needed to lose her job for it, but still, I agree. She screwed up. I don't think she needed to be released for it. Sean has again asked 4 women from SmackDown. There's this very easy answer. There are only 4 that aren't currently either not there or in a feud. Thank you, Jared. Much appreciated. Brandon says more releases. Yep, the usual suspects, Sean Ross Sapp, John Alba, Andrew Zarian, WrestleVotes are all saying that there will be more releases today. We've only seen one so far. Just the one. J-Dub says, having issues keeping the Twitch stream streaming, so I'm hanging out on the YouTube stream. Thank you for that. Much appreciated. Also says, I'm curious, do you have knowledge that there are more releases coming? I understand that you won't speculate until confirmed, but do you know that some are coming? I have heard rumors of this for a while. If you go back to my previous video about releases, if you go to my video about the NXT call-ups, I spoke for quite a long time in many different videos about the fact that more releases were coming, how that list of people was put together, how people would essentially replace people and go from there. This is one of the reasons they're having tryouts right now, because they're working out who can replace people that haven't been released yet. Sean Garner says, I thought Mia Yim was on SmackDown. Mia Yim has not debuted on SmackDown. That is the rumor. That is what we've heard, but we've seen nothing official. We've seen no confirmation of it, so I can't really say that to be the case. Also, Money in the Bank, I don't think is the ideal time to bring someone in. Eleanor reports the news. Sean Ross Sapp has tweeted this, and I quote, thank you for the direct quote. For what it's worth, I'm told fan reaction to Kenice Mobley's podcast appearance had little to nothing to do with the decision for WWE to let her go. I was told it was more of an internal concern. What she was told, I'm not sure. Thank you once again for the direct quote. I will reiterate what I said a little bit earlier about why Kenice Mobley was released. This is the information that I had. One major problem, and the reason that a lot of heat landed on her shoulders, is not necessarily not knowing about wrestling. She was intentionally brought in because she wasn't too experienced when it came to wrestling. She was supposed to be an outside hire. She was supposed to bring an outside experience. But she went on a podcast without clearing it through the PR team, and that is an absolute huge no-no in WWE. Every time I've been involved in a WWE interview, there has been me, the talent being interviewed, and a member of the PR team present. Whether it's in person, whether it's online, there is always a member of the PR team present. It is always cleared with the WWE beforehand. She did not clear the appearance, to my knowledge. That's unfortunately how it's done in big business. At this point, we are still waiting to hear more. We're still waiting to get more information. What is going to happen next? I thought I'd come on a little bit early, because these things tend to just go, and once they're gone, they go big. So we're waiting for direct from WWE sources, or anything that you want to share from Twitter. As I say, it is coming from John Alba, it is coming from Andrew Zarian, Sean Ross Sapp, and WrestleVotes. A lot of people saying today is going to be the day. So I'm going to sneeze, bear with me 1 second. I think I'm good. So I have the WWE Twitter account up because if it's going to happen, it'll happen there first. A lot of people are at the moment retweeting or sharing or replying to a release announcement from the WWE from 2014. That particular one also included Drew McIntyre's name. So please be very careful with what you are reading and responding to out there. People will retweet things in order to try and scare people. Check the dates as you do it. I'm going to catch up with the chat, and then if nothing else is coming in, we're going to talk a little bit more about Karrion Kross. Oliver says, I got my cheap plug. You did indeed, sir. You did indeed. Tom, is today more main roster or on NXT and the like? I suspect today we will see NXT names released, but that was the plan already. You don't hear about NXT releases because people don't really ask too many questions when it comes to NXT. But the WWE are in a constant state of streamlining. Nick Khan has been making big decisions about the budget since he came in as CFO. Literally the day after he was elevated to the position of president and member of the board, we saw Aleister Black released. We saw Lana released. We saw Ruby Riott released. A ton of names were released who would have been a massive surprise at pretty much any other time. So yes, given the way that the reports are swirling, my suspicion would be main roster. I have not had any messages as of yet about that directly. However, as I've said on multiple videos so far, this has been coming for a while. This is not the simple case of, oh, we were done previously. It's not going to end this year. They were always going to be looking to make some cuts. They were always going to be looking to streamline. And whenever they bring people in, they're going to be looking at this. A large part of this, of course, is knowing that they are planning to have a very, very large draft and a very, very large tryout around SummerSlam time. Right now, they need to save money to spend money. That's what they're working on. Who can they spend money on? Who do they need? If they're trying to get Brock Lesnar, they may need to sign a new contract. Or they may have just signed someone to a new contract and need to trim the fat a little bit. Again, that's not a hint, by the way. Brandon says, just backstage team, or will there be superstars involved? I suspect superstars as well. This is an isolated incident, the release of Kenice Mobley, but we're waiting to hear more from Fightful, from John Alba, from Matt Men podcast and the like. We're just waiting to hear more. So at the moment, I'm news reading rather than news reporting, as it were. And we will be covering more as we go into it. So I've already spoken a little bit about Kenice Mobley and her release. Let me catch up on the chat, and then I'll go to talk about Karrion Kross. Who's your two picks to win Money in the Bank matches? I think Alexa Bliss is in a very good shout. Big E probably also in a very good shout, depending on his positioning for it. I don't think anyone on the Raw side, men's, will be winning Money in the Bank. Michael quite rightly pointing out, people like to make fake release tweets too. Why people do this, I don't quite understand. Yeah, they do. It's for clout, essentially. They basically like to say it and then wait for it to be proven true. There was a list made previously that had Keith Lee on it. I don't see that happening, but again, nothing would surprise me at the moment. Pardon me. Nothing would surprise me at the moment. Oliver says, can I say and this isn't related to releases? Of course you can. This is a spoiler warning. You talk about whatever you want to talk about. We are always... Shut up, chair. We are always an Ask Me Anything stream here, so you can literally ask me anything you would like. There's something I'm not seeing being picked up about the Dewdrop thing. You could see on Raw that Dewdrop was about to introduce herself as Piper. Yes, she did mouth Piper. It was Eva who called her that and she was unhappy. I don't think this name is a stupid gimmick name as much as it is something to put heat on Eva. Eva. Not Eva, different person. Thoughts? I could agree with that. We were told, or at least the rumor was, that Dewdrop was going to be the name. We weren't told in what capacity. That was going to be. It could simply be a case of, okay, this is who we've got for this particular moment, and this is what's going to be happening. It may be that the fan response to that name was so bad that they've already pulled the plug. That was certainly possible as well. So we have to keep an eye on stuff like this. I think they will still be a unit going forwards. I don't think Eva Marie's going anywhere in these releases, and I don't think Piper is either, because ultimately Piper still not on a lot on her contract compared to others. Sean says, when will we see the NXT call-ups that you mentioned? The plan was at this point to make a number of smaller call-ups, so lesser names in the build-up to SummerSlam and Money in the Bank. We've seen Boogs, for example, called up. We're also seeing some elevation for names like Jackson Riker, who may not be going very far, to put it simply. And essentially they've said, all right, we'll give you a chance and see how it goes. Then we will see formal call-ups of big names, your Karrion Krosses, your Finn Balor's, during the draft. During the draft. Jonesy says, any idea where we can find this podcast from Kenice Mobley? I believe it's called Asian Not Asian. I believe that's the case. Just confirm that. They have a YouTube. Or it's AsianNotAsianPod.com. There you go. Easy enough to find. Yeah, I believe that's the name, Asian Not Asian. Aaron says, hello, Tom, by the way. Hello. Didn't say hi. I was shocked there's more releases today. Don't you worry, mate. Don't you worry whatsoever. I was shocked there's more releases today. We have not had official confirmation from WWE yet. I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, but I'm doing it intentionally just to be careful. Just to be careful. I can confirm that the release of Kenice Mobley was not related to fan backlash. It was a PR thing. It's always worth remembering. WWE doesn't entirely care as to your responses. They will let it lead them and guide them, but ultimately they will always make their own decisions. The choice to do the podcast was definitely the wrong choice. I'm losing track of where I am in pages. Oliver says, though I think it's stupid that they're already teasing the breakup, it's been a week. It could be a long thing. It could be a short thing. It could be that Mercedes Martinez comes in, beats up Piper Niven, and we get like a lowbrow storyline there with either as the draw, but Mercedes and Piper Niven lower down the card, having their feud. It's a way to get them on TV, and it might be interesting. Also, this is something very important right now. They're moderately cheap compared to Eva Marie. Hello, Mags over on YouTube saying all that Tommy Gun. Tommy Gun. Love it. Love it. If anyone is watching over on YouTube at the moment, please do remember to click like on the video. That is a huge help to me, helping me grow, helping me find new people. At the moment on YouTube, we did have a day where we went up to 584 subscribers. Since then, we've lost 8 again with my regular videos. And if you do have both Twitch and YouTube, please do pop over, click like. And if you can dual watch and just mute one, that will be fantastic because you count as a viewer on both. We'll be very grateful of that. Oliver said, is Belair Bailey really carrying on? How are they going to work another match in after Belair beats Bailey twice? You got me. I don't know if that's for certain carrying on. I'm just using that as an example of, okay, there's only 4 women left. Because if we switch now from Belair Bailey to Belair Carmella, for example, there's still only 4 women left to be aware of. Thank you very much, Oliver, gifting 5 subs in the chat. Very, very grateful for that. Thank you very much. For anyone who doesn't know, we've recently had 2 hype trains, which have been absolutely fantastic. Oliver is currently a conductor of that. If you are over on Twitch, the way to start a hype train, which is a big way that you can help the channel grow, is 1 subscription, 1 gift sub, or 100 bits. 3 different people doing that in 5-minute period, I believe. So a huge thanks to Oliver, who gave gift subs to That Matt 85, Brandon, aka SW Lounge, Lance 702, Toxic Predator, and Noob & Co. Thank you very much, Oliver. Oliver, you can't make it all happen yourself, just to remind you. But what I will say, the hype train video, I cut it down, the first one. Pardon me. Stuck that onto TikTok, and it's doing absolutely fantastic. Let me catch up a little bit here. Yeah, Unpopular Review says, I wouldn't be surprised if Eva and Doudrop are booked back together on Monday with little or no reference to the breakup. Neither would I. I am hearing so many hashtag fun things about the upcoming draft, I tell you. So many. So it's carnage. It is genuinely utter carnage right now in the most ridiculous of ways. Anand says, hi, Tom. Good to see you live on YouTube after so long. Thank you, Anand. At the moment, I'm doing a lot of I release a video every day at 6 p.m. UK time. That's when most people are online. And we've been online for pay-per-views and stuff, but I understand if that's maybe quite late in the day for yourself. I won't always be coming online at this time on YouTube, but I think live content on YouTube might be something I need to get back to. I have more time now than pretty much ever before. Recently had a breakup, so I need to find ways to distract myself. And you guys are basically that. Lance says, thank you to Oliver Gom. I will also like to reiterate my thanks to Oliver Gom. If you have just received a gifted sub from Oliver, please do remember to say thank you. That's a big help for my income. I have to say a huge thanks for that. Subscriptions as well give subscription points, which means more emotes might be coming. Brandon says, I think Brock just returning and destroying everyone in the Money in the Bank Raw ladder match would be a pretty cool sign of intent that he wants Bobby at SummerSlam for the title. If he signs a contract, of course, and wants to face Bobby. I can't sit here and say that more releases suggest incoming Brock Lesnar return. I can't. That would be pure speculation on my part. But I can, of course, as you say, speculate about it. I can definitely speculate about it. There's nothing stopping me from doing that. Nothing whatsoever. I'm seeing a lot of people retweeting Keith Lee stuff right now. A lot of people. I'm just briefly kind of trying to keep track of a couple of messages I've got. Right, okay. Keeping track of this. I apologize if I do occasionally go quiet. I'm just trying to keep track of everything going on. Brandon also says, thank you to Oliver Gom. Thank you, Oliver Gom. Thank you, Brandon. Oliver's getting excited about Hype Trained. I'm in the habit now of mentioning it, but I never expect it. Just to be clear with everyone, I'm never going to expect it. Oliver just says, I like Trained. You'll still have the conductor icon, won't you? I'm not currently on Twitch, even though I can see like the activity feed. I've just got it rolling up on my phone at the moment. You can't see that. Do you want to sort it out? Sort it out. You can't sort it out. But that's basically how I'm seeing it. Sean Garner says, when will we see the NXT culture? I did respond to that already. Will we ever get a hair versus hair match? For who? For like, what hair versus hair match are you responding to? Toxic Predator also says a thanks to Oliver Gom. Jason says you're struggling with the Coca-Cola. Yeah, I'm gassy all of a sudden. My apologies, guys. I am very sorry for the innate gassiness of me. I don't understand why that keeps happening, but it does definitely keep happening. Very confused by it. Put that up. Bring this in over here. Oliver says, did WWE actually know what they're doing with the draft, or are they still working it out? Pardon me again. A little from column A, a little from column B. Certain superstars have dedicated plans already, and that involves certain pushes. Certain people who've signed contracts recently have, the WWE has commitments to them. So when it comes to that, certain people have a lot of things planned and prepared and ready to go. Other people, particularly those lower down the card, will suffer as a result of the draft. But you look at, for example, I think Apollo Crews is a perfect example here. There has never been a plan for Apollo Crews when it comes to a change in the draft. There has never been a plan, but they have found a way to make it work. They have found a way to make it work somehow. Somehow. Brian says, aside from the releases for a moment, excited for SmackDown tonight, Tom. I am, to be fair. We're looking at Bianca Belair and Cesaro versus Bayley and Seth Rollins. These are the matches that are likely to happen all over again at Money in the Bank. So it seems like we're continuing there. But honestly, very exciting for me. I'm really excited for that as a concept. Absolutely love it. And Anne says, what's next for Reigns? Will WWE go for Dominic versus Reigns, considering Dominic is not established enough to have a high-profile /stack match? I think next for Roman is the night off. I think next for Roman is SummerSlam. I don't think he's going to be competing with anyone at Money in the Bank. But if he does, it will definitely be it will definitely be Dominic, because that just makes the most sense. And honestly, there aren't many faces left. I would like it to be Shinsuke Nakamura. I would love it to be Shinsuke Nakamura, but I'd also like it to be after SummerSlam, because I think Nakamura might be a title winner. Oliver says, I like Cornette's idea of Brock has to beat Drew to get to Bobby. That'd be a fun bit of booking. Would also make them one-on-one, to be fair, because I suspect what's going to happen is that Brock Lesnar will win the title from Bobby Lashley, leave again, and then 9 months later, we'll get another match with Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. That's kind of what I expect. Oh, ye have so little faith, and yet we're hearing about releases, so I think you know why. Eleanor says, do you think Becky Lynch could return at Money in the Bank? I find it very unlikely. I think if she will return, it will be when fans return. So it could be like just before, could be during, but I don't think she's ready to wrestle just yet. I don't think they're ready just yet. Jonesy, I'm going to need you to source what you've just said there. I'm going to need you to source that. Brandon says, I'll be pissed if they release Lee. Yeah, me too. Me too. They need to at least show a little bit of support for the guy and a little bit of class and give him something to work with, because whatever is going on right now, we don't know all the facts. So it's better to wait and try and find out. Thank you, Jonesy, for the sourcing there. Right. And says, sad to hear about your breakup, but one good thing is there is so much to do career-wise. And the road, I hope you'll find your suitable match, mate. Hopefully so. Hopefully so. I think I did, is the issue. Pretty confident I did. And it didn't work out. John Garner is saying Bailey versus Belair, her versus her. Could happen. We're hearing a lot about it. Certainly could happen. It's not impossible. Oliver says, do these people know where they're going, or are WWE kayfabing everyone like they always do? Nobody knows where they're going in the draft yet. A lot of people tend to find out on the day of the draft. And by a lot of people, I mean last year or the year before, when Stephanie McMahon read out the entire list and people realized it was the exact list on WWE.com in the exact order, as soon as people found that out, wrestlers in that list popped onto WWE.com to find out where they were going. Literally, that's what happened. He says, I'm going to call off Vince McMahon for something. You go for it, mate. You go for it. Eleanor says, Seth Rollins has not been advertised for the UK tour and it's a SmackDown-only roster tour. So do you think that is hinting at Seth being drafted back over to Raw? I do think it is hinting at that, yes. I do kind of think Seth and Becky to Raw after SummerSlam makes the most sense if Becky's already back by that time. So I would definitely say that's likely, especially if it is a SmackDown-only roster tour. So yeah, that seems to be a hint for me from there that that's the one they have a plan for. And I'm just saying about early favorite Money in the Bank winners. Mentioned this earlier, but I will say one more time that I believe Alexa Bliss and Big E are the most likely to win their respective briefcases. I don't believe anyone on the Raw side for the men is going to be winning. I don't believe anyone on the SmackDown side for the women are going to be winning either. Sean says, will there be qualifying matches? I don't think there can be for the women, I'll tell you that. Not on SmackDown. Definitely don't see that. Definitely don't see that. Because there aren't enough women. There just aren't enough women to have qualifiers over on SmackDown. The men, probably. That's a good way to keep things interesting after all. Right. To quote from Sean Ross Sapp, Jonesy is saying, there was a meeting as of early this afternoon where specific WWE cuts were being discussed with Nick Khan leading the charge in that. No word on when they'll happen. Hopefully they just don't. Fingers crossed we're wasting our time a little bit here and they don't happen. But this does track with everything that I've been reporting previously. If you check out my videos on Nick Khan, and in fact, the previous video, well, live stream we did on Twitch, when we did talk about the fact that Nick Khan was leading the charge here, he was creating the list. He was essentially going over Vince McMahon's head, even though that's not technically possible, to make this happen. This does confirm that. Thank you very much, Reese. Welcome to the show, mate. Thank you very much for the 50 bits. Thank you very much, Oliver, as well, for bringing in another 50 and matching that. I don't know if that's a concerted plan from yourself, but very grateful to both of you for the bits and the support. Oliver says they're saving every big name until fans are back in those buildings. I wouldn't say every big name. Roman Reigns is still there, but they are saving Sasha Banks, who will be coming back on the SmackDown before Money in the Bank. Edge coming back at the same show. Shortly afterwards, Bray Wyatt, The Fiend is expected back. John Cena is expected back, and so on and so forth. And Anne says, there are rumors of Cena versus Reigns at SummerSlam. Your thoughts about that? I think that'll be a fantastic match. I think it's overdue to happen again. And I think this particular John Cena stands absolutely no chance whatsoever against this particular Roman Reigns. Sean says, who do you think will eventually beat Roman Reigns for the title? Did mention earlier, but I'll reiterate. I think Nakamura would be a perfect choice right now. A perfect candidate. An absolute perfect candidate for it to eventually beat Roman Reigns for the title. Oliver says, if I were Bella, I wouldn't do that hair match until I was a heel. If you're doing it, it has to be her losing that hair, and being a heel would be the only way to make it worth doing. I agree in that regard. However, I don't believe Bianca Belair has any interest in losing her hair. Any interest whatsoever. If Bayley's in that match and she loses, I suspect it'll be because she's about to take some time off. Losing at Money in the Bank would be the perfect time to do that. Pardon me. Would be the perfect time to do that because she'd want to return in time for the draft. I have been told by numerous people the big names are being saved for the draft as well. So names like Kevin Owens are vanishing for now with an expectation that they will come back in the draft and have the formal announcement. I think Becky Lynch is likely to be that as well. Reese says, with his chair, I bought tickets to SmackDown in Cardiff today. Roman better not get drafted to Raw. Oh, you're excited, mate. You're excited. I remember going to a show in Manchester with a lot of people that you know, Reese. And we were not excited for Roman at that time. It's funny how things change. Very funny how things change. Brandon said, wouldn't now be a good time to bring in Cain Velasquez to face Roman on the Mysterio's behalf? That has been an ongoing discussion. So Cain Velasquez has been discussing contracts with the WWE for a substantial amount of time. He was let go previously. He pissed them off because he didn't report a knee injury, so they're being very careful. He's been to Titan Towers a number of times to discuss potential contracts. A number of times now. So that's something to keep an eye on. Oliver says, hey, Tom, have you got rid of some of your channel point rewards? I did turn them off recently, actually, for a stream that I was doing in which I actually couldn't check Twitch. It'll be the Football Manager dual stream. So if you bear with me just a second, I can turn them back on. And I will do that right now so that you guys have those options. I want that, I want that. I have a lot of stuff, including all our theme changes. Eventually, I'm going to have a make more or make it more expensive because, what can I say? Ed has everything. They should all be back on now. Star Wars Lounge says, do you think Cena should turn heel when he comes back? Nope, absolutely not. If he's going up against Roman Reigns, he needs to be the face. Also, I think absence makes the heart grow fonder. A lot of people are missing Brock Lesnar right now, and I think a lot of people are missing John Cena too. Noob says, do you think Nick Khan is responsible for the Noodle Cup sponsorship for Asuka? Probably, yeah. As a chief financial officer, that's a large part of his job. But as a chief brand officer, it's also a large part of Stephanie McMahon's job too. So that's something worth keeping an eye on. Getting very busy over on YouTube right now. If you are watching on YouTube, please do remember to click like on the video. That does help us with our growth, help us to find new subscribers. And please do remember earlier on today, I did post a video about an hour and a half ago about where Sasha Banks has been, when she is returning, and what she is expected to do when she returns. If you can check that out as well, I would be extremely grateful. Riffing is here saying hi. Seeing a lot of faces we used to know way back when. Welcome, Riffing, welcome. J-Dub says, the last time I recall Cena and Reigns going head-to-head on the mic, Cena destroyed him. Yeah. Reigns did a swear. That's the best they did. I think Reigns has grown immensely since that time. I agree. He definitely has. Definitely has. And I don't think this Cena actually stands much of a chance. Anan says, do you think WWE is slowly trying to create an alliance between Ali and Mansoor so they can somehow capitalize them for Saudi Arabia tour in future and also turning Ali face or anti-hero? I don't know if Mustafa Ali is allowed on Saudi Arabia shows, to be completely blunt here. I don't know if he's permitted to attend for the same reason that I don't believe Sami Zayn is permitted to attend. I have my questions about that. Don't like it, but it is what it is in that regard. So could be. I think there is some sort of connection being built there. Do you think Corbin will have some long overdue time off now that he is no longer King Corbin? Possibly, but he has actually just come off some time off. So we'll wait and see there. If he asked for it, he'd get it. Sean, I already answered that. For the men, yes. For the women, no. Riffing says, would you be shocked if WWE releases Bray Wyatt? I absolutely would. I definitely would. I don't see any reason that they would do that while he is so profitable for them. When do you think Tessa Blanchard ends up in WWE? Don't know if she will. Absolutely don't know if she will. Riffing says Cesaro would be a good opponent for Apollo Crews at SummerSlam. He would. We did put a video up about that, I think 2 days ago, that you can check out if you want to check that. Alan says, which of the next NXT calls do you expect to the main roster for the draft? I expect Karrion Kross. I expect Finn Balor, Ember Moon, Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, possibly, Io Shirai, Toni Storm. Quite a lot of people I would expect. We're looking at double figures for both brands is the thing. There was loud response. Cesaro should be the next IC champ if he's no longer in the world title picture. Seems so, yeah. Seems so. Nim says, do you think Money in the Bank is a perfect time for Asuka taking time off? You've been asking for Asuka to take some time off every single week for months, mate. They don't seem interested. They wanted her in Money in the Bank. I don't believe there is any plan for her at SummerSlam. Unless the plan is another multi-woman elimination match. They tend to do that. Riffing says, should AEW make their own draft with 2 different rosters and titles for both brands? Absolutely not. They are too new to this to be split into 2 different brands. Alan says, why Ali and Zayn aren't allowed to travel? I don't know for certain that Ali isn't, but I know Sami Zayn is not allowed onto Saudi Arabia shows because of his heritage. Thank you very much for the follow. Reynald, 18 meters, 18 minutes, 18 miles. Reynald, 18, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for joining us. Riffing says, why is WWE hasn't created a developmental brand yet? They have. It's called NXT. And when NXT became a main brand, it's called 205 Live. They still have a developmental brand, and I have Triple H I have quotes from Triple H discussing that with me. So that is a thing. So there is still nothing about releases. We have been going almost an hour now, and still nothing has quite come through. I came on a little bit early. I'm worried now that I may have jumped the gun. But hopefully what this means is that releases are not forthcoming. If there was a meeting earlier today about this, chances are phone calls are not necessarily being made until tomorrow. Let's hope, because I'm going to be completely honest. I do not want anyone to lose their job. This is still an Ask Me Anything stream, though. So if you have any questions for me, you are more than welcome to ask them. You can ask them right here, and I will endeavor to answer them as best I can. For anyone not already aware, I am Tom Collier. Right. I am Tom Collier, and I am here to talk about impending releases. We'll wait to see who, if anyone, is released. But if you are watching on YouTube, please remember to click like on the video. At the moment, we have 13 people watching and only 7 have clicked like. So if you can, please do remember to click that button. Let me update it just in case it's not updated properly. That is a huge help to me. Every like, every watch. I actually lost one. Gone down to 6. There we go. If you could do that for me, I would be very, very grateful. It is a huge piece of support. Right. Catch up. Sean says, when will the Women's Money in the Bank be completed competitors-wide, and will Shotzi Blackheart be called up with Ember Moon? Shotzi Blackheart is injured at the moment, so I believe it might just be Ember Moon getting the call-up because they don't know when Shotzi is going to be cleared. The Women's Money in the Bank will probably be completed tonight. I found that likely. They may spread it over 2 weeks. They may just have the one. It is only a 2-hour show after all. And then that's for an update on Sheamus. He was not cleared in time for Hell in a Cell. The plan was at Hell in a Cell to have Sheamus versus Ricochet versus Humberto Carrillo. At this point, we're focused on Money in the Bank. There isn't enough time on Money in the Bank to actually get a match out. It is most likely we see Sheamus again facing Keith Lee at SummerSlam. But we've been waiting for Keith Lee to return and get cleared for a while now. So far, not so good. So far, not so good. If anyone is new to Twitch or to YouTube, please do remember to click follow on Twitch and subscribe on YouTube. You will get regular shows here. Here on Twitch, we do 6 shows a week, 4 of which are wrestling. We do Raw and SmackDown watch-alongs on Mondays and Fridays, live right here. We do Spoiler Warning, which is our news show on 10 p.m. UK time, 5 p.m. EST. I do still have some news to cover today because this is basically an early edition of Spoiler Warning, a little bit about Karrion Kross. So a follow on Twitch means that you will get a notification every time I go live, including on Tuesdays where we play Football Manager and on Thursdays where we are currently playing Final Fantasy VII. So if you're into your gaming, you have that option. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, just click subscribe. You get a new video every single day at 6 p.m. Today's video is about Sasha Banks. So if you haven't already, please do remember to click follow. Let's check. Star Wars Lounge says, do you reckon we will get Joe versus Kross down the line once Joe is cleared? There is every intention to do that. However, Kross may have already been called up by the time that moment comes. Joe has not been cleared yet, but he is going to undertake regular medical screenings to see if he can be cleared. Sean says Shotzi is wrestling next week on NXT. Was not aware of that. Shotzi herself said that she was injured, so it may be that they are called up together. Riffing says, should WWE make movies instead of weekly wrestling shows? Absolutely not. I've seen the movies they make. They are kind of passable at best. Like at best. I watched the Marine 6, mostly for the Becky Lynch. It wasn't great. But you can see where the man character came from. It's the exact same character. Oliver says, I was wondering why they did a whole backstage segment on the guys not included in Money in the Bank and the officials saying it was set in stone. Yeah, instead of those guys getting a shot, 3 guys who lost got a shot at it again the following week. What gives? The whole point of that segment was to show you Jinder Mahal. It was to show you Jinder Mahal because Jinder Mahal could very quickly and very easily attack Drew McIntyre and essentially rob him of the chance to actually get involved. Could very easily rob him of that opportunity. The whole point of that segment was to say, here is Jinder Mahal, listen to what he's saying, basically. I missed a couple, so I'm going to go back. Riffing says, why is Ring of Honor not part of the Forbidden Door, even if they have a working relationship with New Japan? Let's just say that working relationship is strange. Yeah. Michael says, are you still going to be streaming later on before the watch party? Possibly, probably not. I won't have new news by then. Like, I wouldn't mind dropping in at that point and having a usual show, but with no news to cover, it would just be the preview. So I'll still probably be online at my usual slot, but it would just be a SmackDown preview instead. Let me know if there's anything you'd like me to discuss, and you can, of course, do that in the Discord as well. Oliver is asking, who's your favorite chat member? Just kidding. I'm going to go with Edge because he's my mod and he was here at the beginning, so he's my fave. An absolute babe. And now I'm going to take that back because he's asking, is the sky blue and will the Maldives win the Euros? I have no favorite. Sean is asking, would Raquel lose the title before she's called up? Probably not. Not definitely. Alan says, update on Sonya Deville's in-ring return. Heard she started training. That is the update. You've heard she started training. I imagine you heard that from me. Yeah, I posted that on Twitter, I believe on the 16th of June. Interestingly, shortly afterwards, Ringside News posted an exclusive a couple of days later saying Sonya Deville was training for an in-ring return. Wonder where they got that from. Oliver says, as regards WWE movies, if by passable you mean I'll pass, you're right. Yeah. Eleanor says, I like Kross, but his entrance on main event about the smoke and about Scarlett wasn't great, and he looked really nervous. It's not a good sign when he looks nervous. That's the problem, really, for me, more than anything. I do have news on that. I will be talking about it shortly. Riffing says, her business in a perfect world, MVP, Bobby Lashley, Keith Lee, and Moose, and good booking. I think there's a lot of good Hurt Business policies out there, and they did have some good booking. They really did. But we are where we are. Oliver says quite rightly, Jinder didn't do very well in that segment. He fumbled and stumbled all over the place. It is the only time in the entire night when anyone flubbed their lines, and he did it several times. That was Lounge says, so no Jeff Hardy in the Money in the Bank match after those wins over Cedric. Nope, not a thing. Not a thing. I believe they were just trying to keep Cedric on TV. Maybe he has signed a new contract. Who can tell? Jeff Hardy's been missing for months. Pardon me again. I'm getting hiccups, and now here he is. Anand says, do you think it would be a good idea to have Jinder winning Money in the Bank, as he's a perfect type of heel to hold that briefcase? I don't think it'd be a terrible idea. It's just that we have a heel champion right now. So unless we were in a situation where, yes, Brock Lesnar returns, beats Bobby Lashley, takes the championship, takes it away, Drew McIntyre competes at WrestleMania, takes it back from Brock Lesnar, and then Jinder Mahal cashes in at WrestleMania after Drew McIntyre has just beaten Brock Lesnar and takes the championship that way, that'd be hilarious. I would enjoy that. Don't think it'd get Drew over, don't think it'd get Jinder over, but it'd be fun. And Sean says, could Zoe Stark be called up as well, or is she ready for a call-up? Questions about ready is going to be long going. I do have something on that. He is very expensive, ref, basically. It says thoughts on Malcolm Bivens and Diamond Mine. Diamond Mine literally has all the diamonds and no rough. They are 4 people who can deliver right now. So I think they made a very good faction there. It just depends where they go from there. They needed someone to replace. They needed someone to replace the Undisputed Era as the creme de la creme, the cream of the crop, as it were. I've been waiting to see what comes in from the WWE as regards more news. And so far, I got to tell you, I'm disappointed. Disappointed. Can Raw and SmackDown stars get called up to NXT? It wouldn't be a call up. It would still be a call sideways or a call down. So question marks there. To my knowledge, they don't know. And by they don't know, I mean the WWE themselves don't seem to know whether that's going to be a thing. Oliver says WWE Twitter is currently retweeting guys doing their 4th promo for Survivor Series travel packages, and the releases are a little while off. Yeah. I think at this point, the best thing to do is to head back off and see what happens. If something big happens next, I will come back and we'll talk more about it. But for now, it seems like nothing's actually happening. Let me just catch up. What do you think about Bronson being on main event? I think it's too early for him to be on the main roster. This is why they do the tryouts, though, to see if the people in question are ready. And we all need to calm down a little bit and let them try people out. One of the main reasons they wanted to do a tryout, like one of the main reasons they did that, is to see how they would respond without all the fanfare, without all the trappings. If you take Scarlett away from Karrion Kross, can Karrion Kross still be a legitimate main eventer? The answer was no. The answer was no. And almost everyone who watched it agreed that the answer was no. That's a problem. That is a genuine problem. Because if you can't do that, what the hell do they do? What's next? What's the next option? I don't know. Sure thing, Ed. Well, what is linked to cell phone battery that's charged during NXT shows? Not sure. I would say Tegan Knox. Makes the most sense. She is, after all, high energy of her shiniest wizard. Sean, she's been on the alumni section on WWE.com for years. The reason she was moved is because she left the company years ago. She wasn't moved to it. She wasn't moved back. And Anne says, what is Zelina Vega's status currently? Unchanged. She is still working with her Twitch channel. She was not planning to return to the WWE, to my knowledge. Aleister Black himself has said so, that there was nothing to reports that she was returning to the company. We've been on for an hour, and I do think we're going to have to call it quits here for now. If something big happens, if news comes out, I will be back. But I'm saving news for spoiler warning a bit later, because all else fails, I will jump on later on today. Is $1 million belt an acknowledged thing on NXT? It hasn't appeared on the roster page. Yes, because it's been competed for. So even though it hasn't appeared on the roster page, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means that WWE.com, again, a bit lazy. And I think the reason for that is they keep firing them. Riffing says, why many people say that Eva was moved to the alumni section when she was never moved until yesterday. Never moved to the active section until yesterday. Roster page is out of date. It rarely updates. Well, basically, people want her to fail. So they intentionally make up, oh, she's been moved. Everyone panic. Listen to actual journalists, not wannabe journalists. I mean, at this point, I'm going to wrap us up, but I can't. There's too much chatting on here later on. Oliver Gom says they really are. Also, don't get why .com have different show logos that they're using on TV. See Hell in a Cell. It's very fair. It's very fair. That'll be the last comment I react to. Keep an eye on these channels. If you see releases formally announced by WWE, I will be right back on. And we will have a good chat about these releases and try and work out why, who, what next. Until then, I've been Tom Collihew. Follow on Twitch if you haven't already to make sure you get a notification when we go live. Subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already to make sure we get a notification when we next go live. I've been Tom Collihew. Hopefully, the next time I see you will be for spoiler warning, which will be at 10 p.m. UK time, 5 p.m. EST. Until then, I hope that's not going to be a problem. Fingers crossed no one gets released. And if you're currently on YouTube, please do go to twitch.tv/Tom Collihew. I'll type that into the chat. Click follow so that you can get a notification every time we go live. We do 6 shows a week. Hopefully, goodbye for now. I'll see you all soon.